Hello, everybody. This is Barbara Drazga, aka the Deal Diva. You can find me on dealdivawholesale.com. And today, I've got the incredible Dan Meadors, drum roll please, from the Wholesale Formula. And we're going to dispel some myths today on how you can profit from brand gating. I know they sound like two completely different topics, but by the end of this webinar, Dan is going to shed some light on how we can make money on all the new restrictions that Amazon is handing down. And we're going to talk about a large brand that was just completely suspended, like huge, ginormous seller. Not a brand, seller that was completely suspended. And Dan's going to talk about how we can profit when stuff like that happens. So Dan Meadors of the Wholesale Formula, really quick hit. He went from, with his partner, Eric Lambert, they went from a $600 credit card limit, $600 credit card limit, to doing $7 million in sales in 2016, just sourcing wholesale.
Yep, just wholesale products.
Mic drop. So Dan, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, and let's go straight into the topic of, what do you do with brand gating?
No, we've been selling wholesale since mid 2014. And it's just honestly, like, we transitioned into wholesale from retail arbitrage, and it's been absolutely phenomenal. Like, we went full time and wholesale in January 2015 and really haven't looked back. It's just such a scalable and awesome model that it really does allow growth at unparalleled rates. So it's super exciting.
Yeah, and it totally beats driving from store to store to store. I used to hook up my minivan. I took all the seats out. I hooked up with a trailer to the minivan when I first started 2 years ago, and I was going from Walgreens to Walgreens to Walmart. I had a whole trip. Boy, I was exhausted. I was just completely exhausted. My living room became a warehouse, and I sold my couches. No lie, sold my couches during Q4 2015 so I'd have room for all the stuff I was bringing in so I could prep it overnight and get it into FedEx the next morning. It was insane. And then I switched to wholesale in mid 2016, and my life has changed significantly for the better. So
I can only imagine how hard you went at this, like, because like you're so upbeat and energy, like you have so much energy. I can imagine, and selling your furniture. I mean, that's so hardcore. Like, that's crazy.
Hey, furniture can be replaced, and I wanted a different color anyway, so I got rid of the furniture for 8 months, and I turned off cable too.
Wow.
Cable before Q4 to see how much more productive I could get. It was insane. My first Q4 was absolutely insane great, but boy, I was just beat.
Yeah, I mean, that was
beat. So I knew I had to find another way, and that's when I discovered you guys in 2016 and switched to 100% wholesale, and now I'm about 75% wholesale, 25% private label, and so it's all because of you. Love you guys.
I mean, for us, it was like it's a similar thing. We love retail arbitrage, and I still think it's a viable model for what it's worth. It's like, it's still a very viable model, and we made great money doing it. It was just, at some point we were up. It's like you said, we were beat. Like, we were just up against the wall and didn't really have the energy to keep doing it.
A life
every week, because we're in Kentucky. Like, there's not a lot of stores and it's not a retail hotbed.
Huh.
So we were driving literally all over the country. Like, we drove to New York, we drove to, we were all over Illinois and Ohio. And I mean, this was every week. Like, we were out every single week, driving around, picking up products, sleeping in hotels, bringing a van full of product back and processing it, spending a day with our family and doing it again.
Yeah, I remember watching your initial videos. I'm like, these guys are hardcore.
I mean, it was, but that's the thing is, we did make great money. Like, we did make good money, but it was at the expense of very hard work.
Well, it's not just hard work, but what are you giving up in order to do that and in order to invest that time? And for me, it came down to asking myself one question: what's the lifestyle I want to have?
Exactly. And I mean, that was the same question we asked ourselves. Yeah. And it was like, we both have kids. We both have, and it's like, we don't want to be gone as much as we are. We want to find a way to be in the office more. And when we started with wholesale, like, our hope was that it gave us most of the summer at home. Like, we still expected retail arbitrage to be a huge part of our business, like more than 50%. And, most of that was going to be obviously in Q4. But we expected, our hope was, maybe we can stay home in the summer and spend time with the kids and do stuff. But it was just, it did so well. Like, that first 3 months, I mean, it was just, well, first off, the first 3 months was really hard because we were really bad at it. But even though we were so bad, like, that's one of the things. It's like, we're very, very persistent people. So it's like, we get hit in the mouth and we keep moving forward, and that's just our mentality. And like, we were very bad at it, but we just kept on, doing it. We kept on, we're gonna keep trying and try to develop new strategies and tactics and things like that to become good at this. And even though we were bad, that first 3 months we saw so much success, and like, it's like, and it's not like, just straight monetary success. It was just like how fast it was growing versus how fast we had grown previously. That is like, man. Like,
with retail arbitrage, you're going to hit a wall. You're going to hit the point where you can't scale anymore. You only have so much time and energy unless you start hiring people to do it. And then, it comes down to, I'm going to invest this much time and resources in my business. Now, if I invest this much in this model and it makes me this much profit, but I take the same amount of time and energy and invest it in this model and it makes me this much profit.
Exactly. And that was the thing.
I mean, that was wholesale for me was, okay, I'm going to invest the same amount of time and energy and passion and go-getiveness into my business. Now I need to choose the right venue that's going to leverage that time and energy and assets the most. And wholesale is it for me.
I mean, you said the perfect word. That's exactly what it is wholesale. Like, both of them can be outsourced. Like, retail arbitrage can be outsourced. But with the return you're going to get from outsourcing it versus outsourcing wholesale is so small comparatively. Like, there's just so much leverage in wholesale because it's all systems. It's all, A plus B equals C. Like, that's how wholesale works, and that's how our model works. It's like, we're very formula oriented. We're very system oriented. So like, I don't source products anymore. Like, I legitimately don't do anything in our business anymore. To be perfectly honest, and that was what we wanted. Like, that was our goal. We wanted to create something that we could outsource and hire people and just generally, grow without us being involved in the, in the day-to-day operations. And it's done everything. Like I said, my goal was to be at home more. Like, so far this year, me and Eric we've spoken at like 5 events. We were gone for a week in Vegas. I've taken 2 vacations for more than a week.
Wow, that's awesome.
I mean,
let's be honest. Yeah, we are in it for the money as entrepreneurs and business owners. If you're just doing
what good is money if you can't spend it? That was the thing.
You can't enjoy it if you can't. Feed your lifestyle with it. So for me, it's a balance of, I want my freedom and I want a lifestyle that, if I want to go out, I'm a foodie and I love great wine. If I want to go out to an amazing restaurant and enjoy an incredible dining experience, I don't want to have to think about, oh, well, I don't know if I can afford it, or, I just want to do it. And I don't live an extravagant lifestyle. I live by the Millionaire Next Door. If you've never read that book, you have to. I drive a minivan still. I have zero debt. I live in a middle-class neighborhood. I don't have anything to flaunt. But I probably have, I employ half of my neighbors, by the way. They do some prep for me, they do some listing for me. So I bring prosperity into my neighborhood. This is the kind of lifestyle I want. But if I want to hop on a plane first class and go to Venice or go to anywhere in Italy, actually Rome, I can. And it's that freedom of knowing that I've got a business that's going to run if I want to go play. Mostly I love to work, but if I wanted to, I could. So that's a lifestyle that is my goal. It's not to be a gazillion-dollar seller and have a giant warehouse. I don't want a warehouse. Up until recently, I had a 20-foot container in front of my house. I used it for fourth quarter for bringing pallets in. We prepped everything, sent it out. I sold it 8 months later, saved on storage fees, and made a $200 profit on the container in addition to saving on the storage fees, right?
Sure.
So there's ways to do this without being huge and without having a huge staff in a warehouse. Not saying it's bad, but choose what lifestyle you want and then build your business around that.
I mean, for what it's worth, we wouldn't have a warehouse either, and that if we were restarting our business now. Like, we didn't know that prep centers were an option. Like, they either didn't exist or we hadn't heard of them whenever we were really getting started. And at this point, I mean, we have all the infrastructure and we have employees and we love these guys. I mean, that's at the end of the day, like, we're not going to go to a prep center now because it's, we have.
You already have the infrastructure in place, so it'd kind of be going backwards. But, I also have several of my suppliers will actually send the product now directly into Amazon. And I have 20 cents each. I have Amazon put the labels on it. So I don't even have to touch that product. And one of my suppliers, I'll send him, if I bundle a lot of products, I'll send him a bundle item, have it mailed directly to his warehouse, and his staff put his product together with mine and don't even charge me for it. And then mail those bundles into Amazon, and I have Amazon labels.
You can tell me that supplier just so I can get him to prep my items. That'd be great.
No, you know why? Because he's not. None of his stuff is on Amazon at all. They want nothing to do with it. They sell on Fingerhut and Wayfair, so they're a completely different business model. They're importers. I bring their products to the Amazon marketplace, and they don't want to work with anybody else. I'm their gal. I
just want them for prep. I'm not trying to.
No, I don't. Well, they wouldn't do that because they know that they're going to get sales from me on their products if they help me sell more product. I appreciate that, but sorry, I don't reveal my sources. I like you, but go ahead and give me your list of wholesalers and your contact for their sales, and we'll talk.
All right, fair.
Let's dig right in. We're just needling it. Let's just dig right in. Let's talk about, a lot of people on the Facebook groups going, brand gating. There's a lot of fear, right? I understand a huge seller just got suspended. Who was that?
It was, Big Flag just got suspended a few days ago. And here, we're going to pause that. When you say a big seller got suspended a few days ago, it doesn't sound, but if you look at how much money these guys have probably lost in the 3 days that they've been suspended, it's I wouldn't be shy. I'm sure that Big Fly does over $100 million a year on Amazon.
Yeah, easily. I think so too. They had how many? 5,000 SKUs just in the U.S.
Right. Oh, it's way. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
it's a crazy amount of SKUs.
We don't want to scare you. We're telling you this to show you that. Amazon's not picking on you as a small seller.
No,
they're not. Okay. But let's figure out, I know Dan has a mindset of solution-oriented approach to problems, as do I. So let's talk about how can we, when something like this happens, how do we leverage that? How do we make profit out of potential problems?
So let's look at it first from the prevention side, right? Because that's important. If you're not taking care of your account, this proves that it can happen to anybody. I don't care if you're selling, $1 million or 10 million or 100,000 or 5,000. It doesn't matter. The fact that they suspended probably a top 5 seller on their platform shows that they will suspend anyone if you don't follow their rules. And I think it's a great precedent, to be perfectly honest, because honestly, we are so passionate about dealing with any account issues that come up that it's crazy. We have 2 virtual assistants now that literally all they do is make sure our account is in compliance with Amazon standards. And it's because, we never want that to happen because, think of it this way. If I were suspended, my sales, God forbid, Big Fly, I can't imagine where they're at right now. But if I were suspended for 3 days, that's $60,000 in sales. Yep. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money to be missing out on. And I still have my employees, and I'm sure Big Fly's in the same boat right now. They have their employees. What are they doing?
And infrastructure and fixed costs in a way.
Sure. And that's the thing is, in the Amazon business, it is right. It's not your, you don't own the playground, but you do have the rules. That's the thing is Big Fly, just like us, they knew the rules. I promise you, Amazon did not suspend them without giving them ample warning. Amazon always gives you the warning. It tells you that, they'll send you the alerts that say your return rate's too high for this. There's, you got a claim against the product. You can deal with it. You always have to deal with it. You get correspondence from Amazon.
Don't ignore it. Yeah, it's not going to go away.
Right. And that was the thing. We got one the other day. We got a really weird message that told us a drop shipment was not that we had failed to meet a drop shipment deadline. We don't do any sort of drop shipping at all. And it was just an alert from Amazon. And I was Matt was like, "Do you have any idea what this is?" No, man. Like, contact them immediately and find out what's going on. They said it was actually sent in error, but you have to do that. Even like we knew in the back of our minds that message had to be an error or had nothing to do with us, but you have to resolve it. Like, you need to go and get it in writing. Get writing that says like, oh yeah, this was an error. Like, it's not something you guys did. So it's that's you just have to deal with all the issues.
Yeah, communication is key. Don't ignore anything you get from Amazon. I was just looking through one of the groups this morning, the wholesale groups, and somebody was saying that there are some companies that are now they're submitting faked documents to Amazon, saying that did you see that post? There's now this thing where some companies are trying to get around, brand restriction by submitting invoices from suppliers, from the brand owners, but they've doctored these invoices. They're not real. They've just made them up.
In my opinion, like, all you're doing is ensuring that you will be suspended at some point.
So what I'm saying is, don't do that. Don't do that. Follow the rules. It's their sandbox. It's Amazon's platform. I consider myself privileged to be able to sell on this platform and have access to their customers. Don't try to rig the system. Just find out what the system is, be on top of the system, and play it better. Yeah.
No, I mean, that's the thing is, I think people, and it's kind of ridiculous. Like, when you start looking at it from that perspective, it's people spend a lot of time trying to come up with shortcuts. They spend a really long time trying to come up with shortcuts when they could just do it the right way. Like, that's the thing is, we early on when we started our business, is like, we realized that there were shortcuts, there were ways that we could make more money in the short term. We could be dishonest. We could like lie to vendors. We could do all this other stuff, right? And make more money in the short term. And it's just, we chose not to do those things. Like, we wanted to be completely above board, and it's so we don't ever have to worry about something like that coming back to bite us in the butt, right?
Yeah,
like, I'm never going to get suspended because they were like, hey, you falsified these documents, because I don't do that. And like, we tell people actively, like, please don't do that. Like, please just do it the right way. I realize it can be annoying, but once you're through that gate, once you're through that hurdle, you don't have to worry about it again. Like, just stop being shady. Like, stop thinking of shady solutions. Go the long way, because you know what? Really, nobody else does that. Like, nobody wants to go the long way anymore. Like, nobody wants to take the long trip. And if you're willing to do that, those are higher hurdles. If you're willing to, the higher the hurdle, the less competition. I mean, these people will get suspended at some point. You might say, like, I saw Jill do this the other day, and she didn't get suspended. It doesn't have to be today. But what's Jill going to do in a year from now whenever Amazon?
Yeah, and if Jill's jumping off a cliff, are you really going to follow her?
Exactly. And it's like,
okay, so I don't want to beat you guys up, and we're not trying to terrify you, but this is a reality of Amazon, and in order to be a third-party seller, we want to help you figure out how to profit when stuff happens. So the brand gating is huge. It's stumped a lot of sellers. How do we profit from the brand gating, suspensions? How do we make money off of the negative?
Let's switch it around, right? Let's talk about, instead of being scary people, let's talk about the fun part, like making more money.
Yeah.
And here's the thing with brand gating is, if you have good relationships with your suppliers, it is very easy to get approved. It is very easy. Like, now, so you may run through this process like the first time, and you may get denied 7 times, but eventually you will get in. This is what we always tell people, and the reason we say it is because we do it in our own business. It's like, we encounter these same challenges. The first time we were trying to be brand ungated, I'm pretty sure we got denied 14 times. And it was just, we were just trying to find the exact document that they needed to see. But here's the thing, if you do things the right way, it will always work out in your favor. Like, always. I mean, it may be an annoying process. It may be challenging at first, but it will always work out in your favor if you do things the right way.
Well, let's give
know that going in.
How do we, let's say suddenly, a brand you're selling in, you've got inventory in the warehouse, it suddenly goes gated, and you've got that dreaded email.
Sure.
What do you do? What do you do?
I mean, the first thing is, okay, so Amazon wants one of 2 things. They want 3 invoices from that manufacturer, and they have to be correctly laid out per Amazon specs. It's not just like any invoice will work. Amazon's actually fairly rigid on the type of invoice you can use. And then or as an alternative, they'll let you do a letter of authorization. And they're also pretty rigid about how that has to be laid out and things like that. So with a letter of authorization or the invoices, the first thing we do is we always try to get ungated with invoices because it's easier because we've already bought the product, right? Like, so we'll send them our 3 invoices in and try to get ungated that way. And then Amazon will tell us if they're going to deny that invoice or not. Generally, as long as it's within an acceptable range of what they're looking for, they will accept it because they understand the invoices vary company by company. But it needs to say invoice. It cannot say pro forma. It cannot say receipt. Or it needs to show that it was a paid invoice and the product was shipped. Like, if it does that, the Amazon's generally going to do it. Also, it needs yours. Like, a lot of people, and here's where you can get in trouble if you're telling vendors fake names or whatever with your business. Like, it needs to match the back end Amazon. Like, Amazon, it's not your storefront name; it's the backside. Whenever you're going in, you can see
your LLC, your DBA, whatever your name, your company is registered with Amazon as just your account, not your seller.
But it needs to match that. Like, your invoice needs to match that. And if you match that, if you do those things right, and it says invoice and it shows that it was paid particularly, it's great. Like, I love when they send us the paid invoices.
The stamped paid on it. You can probably even ask your supplier, look, we need a copy of the invoice, but can you fax us one that's stamped paid on it?
That's exactly. And that's, for what it's worth, that's the thing about having great relationships with your suppliers, is we've had them mold invoices to Amazon. Every time, like, Amazon won't accept our invoices for whatever reason, like, we have great relationships with our suppliers, and we're like, hey, for whatever reason, these silly willies aren't taking this. Like, can you help us out right here? And this is kind of what they're looking for. And every time, like, literally every time, they're like, hey, man, no problem at all.
And it could be something as simple as it says, one case of a certain product, where Amazon wants to see that it's 48 units of a certain product. We're not talking about
that's one of the things. That's one of the things they're looking for.
We're talking about giving Amazon exactly the data they want on that invoice. So would you say, Dan, we could probably ask when we get set up with a wholesaler, when we're ready to, or with a supplier and a brand owner, we're ready to make our first order. Can we ask them, hey, look, we really want to continue to work with you and move your brand on the Amazon platform, and can you write us a letter of authorization with the first order?
We did that originally, but we stopped doing it because Amazon wants to see it in the past 90 days.
Okay.
It's one of those things, like, yes, like, so what we did instead is we're just really upfront, like, and we try to always email this, like, to make sure that it's not just a phone conversation. And we're like, hey, we do sell on Amazon, like, so at some point we may need this. Is that okay? Will you work with us? Yeah, man, no problem. That's the kind of response you're going to get, and then you're in the clear. Like, they are going to work with you and help you resolve it. So we've never had we've been ungated on, like, we've carried like 30 gated brands at this point. And it's never been an issue ever. We've successfully ungated on all of them.
And I don't know, but I'm sure it's the same for you, but when I order something, my supplier emails me the invoice, or I tell them that's part of it, send me the invoice so I can okay the shipping cost, whatever, if they're not sending it directly to Amazon for me. So I make sure I have a copy of the invoice. So just make sure you've organized those in your email, or you've downloaded each of those invoices into a folder on your hard drive that you can quickly find them. So, if a brand that you're selling on does become gated, you're not trying to, oh my gosh, where are those? And I don't know where I filed them. Just organize from the get-go. Create your systems from the first day you start ordering from that supplier. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, it's actually what we do. We have an orders account. It's like we have a correspondence account, which is weird, and then we have an orders account. And our orders account, email account, that's all it does, is it places orders. Okay, so you have an email account just for placing orders? Yes. Okay. And it's called, orders at our company name. So whenever, we place our order, it goes to that account, and one of our virtual assistants goes to that account daily, and any new orders she puts into folders, just so they're easily accessible quickly. Smart. So we have those invoices on hand, like, within minutes if we get a claim or anything like that. Now, how do we profit from this, right? And it's very easy. It's like, okay, so when you see a product go restricted, like here's what happens. And we've got mounds of data on this so far. Is obviously sellers come off, and what happens to the price? It goes up every time, every single time. Like there's one product that we carried that was like pretty marginal, and I think we were probably making like a 25% ROI, but it was like good enough because it was consistent, or 20% ROI. And it's like we were on the border edge of cutting it. It's like one of those things where it's like almost not profitable enough. And then it went restricted. And it was like, yes, yes, yes. Because what happened? That product is a 40% ROI now, and it went from 10 sellers to 4 sellers, and it's beautiful.
Now, did you have to pay to get unrestricted in that brand?
It's generally only on super expensive brands, or like Nikes and your Canons or somebody like that. Like almost never on the.
But let's say you did. Let's say
I would happily
$1,000, $3,000. Guys, don't look at that. It's going to cost $3,000. Look at the numbers. What Dan just said was his profit margin went from 25% to 40%. And I don't know, did the velocity increase?
Oh, I mean, it went from 10 sellers to 4 sellers.
So now you're selling more at a higher profit margin. Do the numbers. How long will it take you to recoup at that additional 15% profit, recoup that $3,000?
Right. Exactly.
And then after that, it's free money, that free extra margin, because you're in.
Exactly.
So all the numbers. Yeah.
I mean, we would happily pay it. And honestly, it's like, if they introduce those as hurdles, that would be pretty exciting for us at this point, because I know that a lot of people would get frustrated with it. And even take that from theoretically 10 sellers to maybe 2 sellers.
Yeah.
Okay, so some people wasn't willing to pay the fig, so to speak. But for most people, like you just don't ever have to worry about it right now. It's not a thing. It's not like of those 30 brands, we've paid $0 to be ungated or unrestricted or whatever on them. So that's not commonplace. It's actually far more uncommon than common. So like I've seen like ungating in topicals that costs money. Like if you want to get ungated in topicals, it's like $3,000. But guess what? Like, can you imagine how many fewer people are selling topical right now? Like, I promise you, that's profitable. That's a profitable buy at $3,000.
Yep.
It may not be inside somebody's budget if they're a newer seller, but don't get intimidated by seeing that it costs $3,000 to get ungated on Nike, because like the vast majority of the stuff you're going to see it doesn't have that gate, and if it does and you can't afford it, guess what? Go find another brand. Like, that's the thing is you don't have to carry a specific brand of product. Like, never get overly attached to something, right? Like, we don't. That's the thing about our products, and why I think our mentality is really good. It's Eric's a former poker player. Like, that's what he did professionally. And so it's all numbers, right? It's all just like numbers here. And so it's things come on and they're good. Like, if the price drops, we just sell out and don't ever sell. And we're never most emotionally attached to it. It's more or less just it's always just a numbers game for us. Don't become emotionally attached to product. Don't ever think that you have to carry this brand. Don't ever think that like you see a lot of people do this, particularly like, oh man, somebody's like running my price into the ground. It's like, it's not your price. Like, it's not your product. It's it's a product. And I think that mentality has really helped us grow in wholesale, but it's just not common. It's not common. Don't give yourself a reason to avoid these things like ungating, because it's really not a common issue or problem.
And here's another potential opportunity. So let's say a brand gets locked down, it's ungated, or it's brand gated, and you're hesitant to pay that $3,000. Go Google their competitors.
That's a great idea. I mean, that's a great idea.
Right?
And guess what? I mean,
and then go do your words and go back on Amazon and see what their products are selling for. Maybe some of their competitors aren't even on the Amazon platform yet, and you can get them there. So there's an opportunity.
Right, I mean, that's amazing. Like, hey, who cares what leg hair brush I carry, right? But no, I mean, that's the thing.
I thought you were going to say beard wax, but we'll go.
Right, sure.
I don't want to see you at the beach.
Right, exactly. I mean, but who cares what brand I'm carrying? It's a product. It's a product that I'm making money with. And that's the thing
it's
is,
a target market that, you know, that if it's a product that solves a problem or feeds a passion, there's not just one brand in the world that solves that problem or feeds that passion. So go look at who the competitors are. Maybe that's an opportunity for you to bring other brands to that niche.
it's funny because I'm sure somebody's going to watch this video and their mouth's going to be like wide open right now, and like because you know we're the guys that always talk about adding value, and it's like I'm sitting here telling you that, you know, a product's a product. Now the reason I do that is we're not emotionally attached to a product until they are a partner of ours, until they are actively working with us. Once they start actively working with us, you know, I'm significantly more motivated to help that brand. I'm significantly, you know, that brand actually means something to me. So that's one of the things is we try to establish that relationship. We try to establish that bond with companies. But here's the thing: if they're not controlling the brand or the product, like that's going to be a limited lifespan. Like that relationship will be a limited lifespan, and the brands that allow anybody to sell them will get chewed up, and the price will go down, and you'll just it is a product.
Here's another potential opportunity. Let's say that you've been selling this brand for a while, it becomes gated, and Amazon's asking you for $3,000. Could you potentially go back to that brand owner and say, hey, look, you know, we want to continue to bring making sure that your listing is optimized and bring this added value to your product on Amazon. Can you reduce our cost for our future orders by X% so that we can justify covering the $3,000? Or maybe ask them if they would split the fee. I don't know. I haven't tried it, but that's another idea.
Even if they wouldn't, let's assume that they would not, right? Let's assume that that's not a possibility. Why couldn't you you could advise that brand? Like you could become an advisor to that brand. Like you could just be effectively an agent of them. So that's an opportunity as well. It's like
you could consult for that brand and put them on a monthly retainer.
Right, and build your capital that way. Until you can afford those types of opportunities.
Which means you need to understand what added value you can bring to brand owners.
Sure.
And that's a whole nother topic for another webinar.
Right.
We'll do it again. So awesome. Brand Registry 2.0 is we kind of
so far incredibly exciting. Like we're working with it now. It's it offers a lot more flexibility to brands. Like that's the thing is before Brand Registry was kind of like, you know, it allowed you to do some cool stuff like EBC, but outside or enhanced brand content. But outside of that, it wasn't very exciting. I mean, it was just, I really didn't almost do anything. It's like you could control listings a little better and things like that. But with 2.0, there's like some pretty awesome features that allow you to control who's selling products and who's allowed to sell products for brands, which is really, really exciting because that's a benefit of ours. Like, you know, that should only be scary if you're not adding value to the brand you're working with, or you're not a real authorized partner. Like, if you're not a real authorized partner, you know, that's kind of a scary proposition of giving brands more power. But for us, we expect it to only be amazing because it allows us to help them limit some of the yahoos that they don't want to sell their product. Like, it gives them more power. Now it is a little harder to get into because it requires a trademark. Like to get Brand Registered 2.0, they have to have a registered trademark, and it has to be a written trade, like the trade name.
Yeah, you can't just put a TM after a trade name and suddenly it's trademarked. You actually have to submit the USPTO.gov, US Patent Trade Office, whatever. So you have to actually
it's just a big long thing.
Right, USPTO.gov, I think.
But yeah, I mean, if you get that trademark, you can go ahead and sign up for it. And here's the thing: is they can make you an authorized agent of their brand, and you can register on their behalf, which is what we try to do a lot.
What was that? You can be an authorized agent of their brand
and brand register their brand on their behalf
in Amazon.
Yeah, we I think we're brand registered for like 6 brands right now.
Interesting.
That we don't own. I mean, they're all other companies, like, you know, companies we carry their product, and they wanted us to be able to help them with like EBC and
Yeah, this is next level stuff. This is next level stuff. This is exciting. Yeah, every time I talk to you, I learn a bunch of new stuff, not just one new things. Hey, I want to be respectful of your time. There's so much we could cover. We could talk for hours. I love hanging out with you. I do want to give people a little bit of something they can go research on their own and start digging into. If you haven't taken a look at sourcing wholesale yet and moving your business model to a sustainable model that is going to give you, a lifestyle business. You're building a business around the lifestyle that you want. So it's supporting that lifestyle. For me, that's sourcing wholesale and bringing my own bundles to the Amazon marketplace. So I know you guys have, you've created a free workshop, 5 videos. And I know that during that workshop, you're going to be teaching something about like how to start finding, how do you find these? How do you find the brand owners? How do you find products that you want to go sell?
Sure.
What are you going to be talking about during this free workshop?
Okay, so this free workshop is going to be, when you attend this free workshop, by the end of it, you will understand wholesale. You will understand the concept of how to find a product, how to find a manufacturer, how to talk to a manufacturer, the kind of conversation you should have with a manufacturer, and then how to place an order. Like it's really, wholesale's not rocket science. Like it's probably the oldest form of commerce in the world, but there are some things that people don't inherently understand. And and here's the thing is we've realized when people don't understand something, it's an excuse to never move forward. Right.
Yep.
And that was true for us. Like we didn't understand wholesale when we got started, and we probably delayed getting started about a year because we were afraid. So that's what this thing is for. It's literally designed to help people walk through that process, walk through those doors, and be like, okay, I can really do this. This is this is a model I can actually do, and get their feet wet in it. So I think it's going to be an invaluable tool for people. I think it's going to be something that everybody should go through. I mean, the barrier entry is correct. It's $0. And I promise you, if you don't like it, we'll give you a full refund.
Very cool. Okay, so when does that start? I'm going to put up a URL in just a second here, so you guys can go register for that free workshop. Okay, and when does that workshop start, Dan? Because I know it runs like 5 days, and it's done.
Yeah, it's okay. So the way the workshop works is it's on the 17th to the 21st.
And that's July.
Right, 17th to the 21st of July, and it is going to be pre-recorded. Now, we do have one live webinar scheduled in there where it is going to be live. But if you can't make it, you can get the recording. But that's only going to be available to people who register. Like those recordings are only going to be available to people who register. And it's only going to be available for a week. So it is free, 100% free. You don't have to do anything, no credit cards, nothing like that. You just go and attend it and take action. That's what we wanted, but it's not going to be available forever. It's just going to be available for a week. So get in there, take action, watch, if you can't make it live, watch the recordings and really just see if this is a business model you can do. Because here's the thing, it changed our life. Like wholesale undoubtedly changed our life for the better. And I think Barbara is the same. It's clearly changed your life for the better.
Yep.
Wholesale's amazing. It's just a great form of business because it's something you can grow without being in every single day. And this is the best way you're going to learn it, and at the best price. Like it's $0. It's free. Just go check it out.
Yeah, it's dealdivawholesale.com/free, and it's up on the screen right now. Go ahead and register now. Again, it's free. It runs 5 days. It's a wholesale workshop, July 17th to 21st, and it's dealdivawholesale.com. So it's for a limited time. Don't miss out. Go ahead and take action and go register for that free workshop, guys. And I am hoping to maybe do another workshop with Dan, not a workshop, I'm sorry, a webinar with Dan, asking him some more burning questions I have about wholesale. Maybe we can corral him on another one. I'll let you know. He's a busy, busy guy. But I'm sure I'm corralling you already. I'm sure he'll have a little chat with us. So I just wanted to thank you all for being on this webinar. If you've got any questions, you can find me on Facebook, Barbara Drazga, and my Facebook group is Deal Diva, Wholesale and Private Label. And Dan Meadors, where can they find you? Where are you?
Check our Facebook page, The Wholesale Formula. It's super easy. And we're always publishing content on there as well.
Yeah, he's got a ton of great articles, and I'll also put a bunch of his articles and videos up on dealdivawholesale.com so that you can keep educating yourself so that, hey, it is mid-July right now. It is mid-July, beginning of July. So
Yep.
here's the thing. As of yesterday, we're 141 days from Black Friday. That is plenty of time to get your research done, get wholesale accounts set up, get orders placed, and get positioned for killing it. I hate using war words, but truly ramping up your business and leveraging that fourth quarter insanity that is a very large percentage of my annual sales and everybody else, I'm sure. So I triple down for fourth quarter. I absolutely triple down. And right now, you can't wait till October to get started. Now is a perfect time to get started. Go ahead to dealdivawholesale.com/free and watch Dan's free workshop starting July 17th. And
Yep.
I will see you guys in the next webinar. Thank you, Dan Meadors, for being on. Again, I'm Barbara Drazga, Deal Diva, and we will talk later. Bye.